Hello, this is Jen Cray and welcome to another tutorial. Today I'll be sharing some ideas, hints and tips using this new 3-dimensional sleigh die from Tonic Studios. This dimensional sleigh set has 25 dies, so you have some holly, you have a bow, a couple of tags, 2 panels, and then you've got your outer edge. So you have 2 outer edges and then you have a bottom base one. So those 3 dies there is what's going to create like the construction, the overall construction of your sleigh. So first of all, you're going to go ahead and die cut those 3 base pieces that you can see. I'm using 300 GSM super smooth white cardstock. This is my preference for this type of project. And I'm going to go ahead and take that small panel that goes at the bottom of the sleigh there, and I'm going to cut into both of those pieces, so kind of like the opposites, and we're going to get that beautiful detail on the bottom of the sleigh. Before we go any further, you'll notice that I cut out one of the small panels in spearmint cardstock, and the reason I've done this is because after I tried a few times when I initially used this die set, this was the easiest way to align the sleigh so that all the sides are even. So what we're going to do now is we're just going to go ahead and score all of those folds, and then I'm going to quickly walk you through what would happen if we didn't use that spearmint panel. The chances are you may be able to do this fine. I didn't have a good outcome for this. So just imagine putting adhesive on that, lining it up, and then lining that panel on the inside for a perfect match. I couldn't do it, so I sat and thought about it, and the best way I found to remedy this was to take that panel and to put a tiny bit of glue on the inside. So we're decorating the inside of the panel now. So we're just going to go ahead and grab that spearmint panel, and we're going to put a tiny amount of glue on the back of it. Now you have to be very careful when you add your glue here. You want to put it like right in the middle and a really small amount. And the reason why, you don't want to get any around the edges, because you're going to be sliding in that long panel that we just had up and tuck them into those edges for a perfect fit. Now you can use like temporary adhesive if you want to. I just find it's easier and quicker if I use a dab of glue just in the middle, and then I go ahead, I grab that long panel, making sure that you've got the longer edge at the back and then that flat edge at the front. So you're going to take a small amount of glue and you're going to add it to those panels there, and those panels are then going to slide underneath that spearmint panel. And you can kind of wiggle it. You'll be able to wiggle it around. I don't recommend using the red liner tape because it's an instant grab, and at least this way you've got a bit of a wiggle room. So as you can see here, I'm going to slide it in, and you do have a little bit of time, but you also want to make sure that it doesn't stick before you have aligned it. So be quick but thorough. So I think we've pretty much have the shape that we want, and that you can see that the base there on that spearmint panel is pretty flat. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to make sure that we apply a little bit more pressure now on that panel to make sure that the glue has grabbed and that everything is aligned. So as you can see, within a matter of a minute or two, that we have got the perfect alignment just using that additional panel on the inside. I just think it's a really great idea, and it makes sure that all of your sleighs are perfect every time. So once you have adhered that first side of your panel, if you want to go in like with a small piece of scrap card and add a bit of glue to it, you can go around the edges and just make sure that that's all secure and glued down. Less is really more with glue, so you want to make sure that you use enough, but you don't want to saturate the paper, because you'll find that it's very difficult to dry, and it could ruin your project as well. Once we've got that, we're just going to pop that to the side, maybe 30 seconds for it to dry, and we're going to go ahead and do the same thing with the other one. Exact same process, and we are going to slide it underneath until it's the perfect fit with the panel. And we have the perfect fit now on both sides. Now that we've created the basic construction of that sleigh, we're going to take those little supports down at the bottom, so there's like 4 little sticky out legs at the bottom, and we're going to go ahead and score those over on top of each other for some additional supports. I guess you could if you wanted to cut them off. I don't really think it's necessary, and it just allows for a bit more sturdiness with the sleigh. Once we've done that, we're going to go ahead and add some basic panels so you get an idea of what this looks like when it's decorated. It really is easy as that. One thing I want to mention though, so I've used 300 GSM cardstock, and this is one that I've used 216 GSM cardstock, and as you can see, this is a big no-no. It hasn't allowed for any strength or sturdiness. Everything is kind of flopping over, and this is really not the type of cardstock to use. You probably could use 240 GSM cardstock, but I recommend between like 270 to 300 really. I've used 300 GSM cardstock on this, and it is really sturdy, and it's a fantastic little sleigh. Here's another example. So I've used it in exactly the same way, but I've gone ahead and added some of those detailed panels on the side. Those beautiful star panels really makes for something festive and fun. Just a different way to decorate it, but the process is done identical to the one that we showed just previously. I'm going to go ahead and show you a couple of techniques, different ways to use the die cuts to make slightly different sleighs. So the first one I'm going to do is we're going to go ahead and cut that base, the large base die out of satin mirror, gold satin mirror card, and we're going to take that panel die and cut into it so we have the detail at the top. We're then going to take the other panel die on the bottom and cut into that again, and what we're left with that is like an outline. So let's take some scissors and we're going to chop off the bottom, and then we're going to go ahead and add that to a base. This just gives a different look for your sleigh. One last idea I wanted to share with you using these die cuts in a different way is grabbing that large outer base die again. You don't need a full piece of paper, you just want it about a ½ an inch above those like round edges. And then we're going to grab the lower detail die, we're going to cut into it, and then we're just going to trim it off. So you want to leave about 1/8 of an inch, just enough for you to be able to glue that onto your sleigh. For a different look and a bit of fun, we're going to grab some embellishment mousse. This is Indian gold, and the good thing about embellishment mousse is that this is a permanent medium, so when it dries, it's not going to ruin anything, it's not going to cross-contaminate anything, it's actually permanent, so it's not going anywhere. So we're going to just go ahead and take a tiny bit of mousse, and we're going to just literally use our fingers, and we're going to rub it on this little die cut that we've got. Once we've done that, we're just going to stick that to our last project for a little bit of a different look. The last step we want to do for this little sleigh is we're going to take some more of that Indian gold embellishment mousse, and we're just going to gently rub it at the top there to match the detail at the bottom. So we want to get it on both sides, and that really completes the look and it makes it really blingy and very Christmassy looking. Thank you so much for joining me today. I've had a really great time making these little sleigh dies and showing you a few different die cutting techniques with them, as well as that little hint and tip at the beginning for the construction using that inner panel. If you have any questions relating to these sleighs, pop me a message and I'll be happy to answer them for you. As always, take care, be safe, and happy crafting!